now to video number 2. I'm afraid when I just looked at the previous video, this was really annoying me and I don't quite know how to solve it. But again, missing head and you might not be able to see my full face. I am trying to position my camera so it does it properly and I just can't quite remember how you're supposed to do it to get my full face in. And I really don't have the patience or energy to go and film what I just said all over again. So please bear with me and I'm very sorry for that. I'll try and rectify it and I'll try and ensure that my videos are not so like taking my face a bit more. So sorry about that. I hope this video is a bit better. I really do need to sort out this videoing thing and try and film a bit better, but I am very much an amateur, so do bear with me. Filming isn't exactly one of my strengths. I am still learning, so bear with me. Moving on now to part 2 of this review here of Spectrum Women Walking to the Beat of Autism. Now, interesting insights on empathy are then offered on page 182. The point is made that many non-autistics lack empathy for the autistic way of being, and yet autistics are unfairly judged as being the only side who are at fault. I thought this was really very I do agree with that, and I think it was a very good point that was made. In fact, saying that autistics are feelingless robots shows that non-autistics can lack empathy too, because autistics are often said to lack empathy and to be feelingless and things like that. And again, there is a grain of truth in this. Again, with all stereotypes, there's always a grain of truth. But I think a lot of it does come down to misunderstandings. It's not so much that autistics lack empathy. It's more that we kind of struggle, I think, to sort of understand another person's point of view and to really understand how another person is feeling, because feelings are really difficult for us to understand. We find it really hard to process feelings. So I think this is where the misunderstanding comes from, and that can look like we lack empathy, but it's more to do with the fact that we just can't comprehend it. So it's not like we're trying to be horrible or trying to be nasty or anything like that. When people accuse us of lacking empathy, it's often because they say we don't care about them and stuff, or we don't have feelings, but it's more to do with the fact that we just can't comprehend it. It's not quite the same thing, because we do, quite clearly, we do care. It's not like we're psychopaths or anything. We do care. It's just that we can struggle to express it in a way that other people expect, I think is the difference. But the irony, of course, is that while autistics often get told that they lack empathy, I really actually think only psychopaths deserve that description. At the end of the day, empathy is very multifaceted. It's not one thing anyway. But the irony is that non-autistics themselves actually often lack empathy. When they say that autistics are feelingless robots, it kind of shows a lack of imagination, and they don't really understand quite what's going on themselves amongst autistic people. When a non-autistic person tells an autistic person that they must be mild or tries to trivialise their condition in other ways, that to me also suggests a lack of empathy as well, because true empathy is actually really about listening and being non-judgmental. And I think autistics can display empathy, or we can learn to display it anyway. It might just be harder for us, but we can learn how to do it. What I mean by that is that we're probably never going to be able to really understand feelings or anything like that. I'm 31 and I still don't really understand feelings, but we can kind of learn we can kind of read about what we're supposed to do, and even if we don't really experience the feelings in an instinctive way, we can still we can still know how to behave or learn how to behave in kind of ways that aren't offensive to others, and that could be seen as a type of empathy. Just because we don't understand it, the very fact that we go out of our way to try and learn it and try and be nice to others, you could argue that that's still empathy, even if it comes without the feeling. You could argue, it shows we have a conscience after all, and that's probably the most important thing. Autistics display and experience feelings differently, so, like I say, we can easily be misunderstood by some people who accuse us of not being able to feel or relate to them. So what do you think about this? I thought it was a very good point. That we are just often misunderstood because we don't display our feelings in conventional ways. Don't mean we lack them though, it just means that we experience them differently. On page 183, two potential autistic profiles are discussed. It is argued that there are those autistics who do not feel much at all, and those autistics who feel too much all the time, resulting in regular meltdowns. Now, so I've been talking so much. Right. Yeah. I am not sure that this split is that accurate, and it feels rather binary to me. I don't think it's quite as clear cut as to create two separate profiles on this issue. But I could relate to the idea of being shelled. This means you are protected by an emotional shell that safeguards you from other people's feelings. I can relate to this because feelings do scare and overwhelm me. I don't understand feelings, they're painful, so I kind of not dealing with this. No, logical approach, we won't go into feelings, don't know where they're going to stop, don't understand them, they seem illogical, irrelevant, and we just won't go there. That's kind of like how I'm naturally geared up most of the time, apart from when I have my explosive outbursts, which is a bit different, but sometimes they all come out, but most of the time I'm quite logical about things. So I can detach from them quite easily, or just close down, chuck them off, I guess. On the other side, to be exposed is to have no shell and to be overly affected by surrounding emotions. I do think I'm also exposed as well, because other people's energy definitely negatively affects me. So if I'm around someone who's feeling tense and stressed themselves, even though I can't quite understand why they're feeling stressed or tense or what's going on, it will kind of rub off of me a bit, their toxic energy. I can kind of sense it, get all's not well. So yeah, I'm a bit exposed as well. But I do think, these saying that autistics are either or is definitely black or white. We're often a mixture of both, and not all of us fall into these categories anyway. Some of us will be neither. So again, we're also different. I think there also may be a little bit of danger in using a shelled metaphor in particular, because it has been, I don't know if you've heard previous stereotypes about autism, about your child kind of being locked within an empty fortress. What was that? I think it was like a Bettelheim idea of autism, that your child somehow, I don't know, that the child was kind of caged off somehow and in a world of their own and completely, so there are these kind of, this could be potentially lead to dangerous kind of characterisations of autism by using a shelled metaphor, so I'm a little bit wary of that. But I definitely think there's some truth in the fact that some autistics, and I certainly can relate to it myself, that because we do find emotions so difficult to understand, that we maybe just try not to deal with them or cut them off, detach ourselves from them. And that can obviously then be misinterpreted as people think that we don't care, but it can just be a protective survival, so that we aren't overwhelmed by feelings that we can't handle. But let me know what you think anyway. Like the author, I am often oblivious to other people's emotions. I do get a sense that I must feel something, but like the author, I cannot easily understand, label or deal with the feelings. Interestingly, the author says that her autistic children are very exposed to the extent that they are extreme empaths, so that's interesting, because again that goes completely against stereotype that isn't possible in autism, many people say. But clearly there are some autistic people who actually are extreme empaths. Maybe even more empathetic than non-autistic people in some cases. Now I'm definitely not an extreme empath, and I do really struggle with certain aspects of empathy. I think actually at the end of the day, I don't think we can typecast autistic people as all lacking empathy, or all non-autistic people are having bucketloads of empathy. Empathy is something that you can have or not have, regardless of whether you're autistic or not. I think the main key difference is that all autistic people, regardless of how much empathy they have, is that all autistic people will struggle to understand other people's feelings and know what to do with the information. So it's more to do with the fact that we really struggle to kind of respond, I guess, in a conventional way, which can then be misinterpreted as lacking in empathy. I think that's probably a key difference. Really, empathy is how you comport yourself in society, I would say, and whether or not you're someone who, conscientiously does the right thing, or whether you're someone who's antisocial and vindictive. And that can apply to autistic and non-autistic people in equal measure. And everyone at times can fall short in empathy. That's a human thing. If we're under stress or anger or anything like that, all of us can experience temporary blockages in how nice we are to others and things like that, which is universal.